Glam Squad, I'm back and I'm here with the ranking video. I know it's been a while, many months in fact, but with all of us being in, this is a good opportunity if you're not working to be able to create content. That's how I feel about this right now, that I just want to create some content, some fun things. I personally have been doing my makeup almost every single day since I've been in the house. It makes me feel good. I enjoy the act of putting it on. So for me, it's been fun, but I wanted to do something that's just quick, easy, just some ranking videos. I'm planning to do this with a few different palettes that I have. Today it's going to be the Anastasia Beverly Hills palettes. You probably saw that on the title. And I'm going to be doing this 1 through 11 style because I have 11 palettes from Anastasia Beverly Hills, ABH as I will lovingly call it. And we're going to be going through them, and I'm going to tell you why they are in the ranking that they are, what place they're in, and why. And I'm also wearing the look from my very #1 palette that I enjoyed the most, that I love the most, and I'll be able to tell you why, but this is the look that was created. Hopefully you will enjoy, and let's get started. Okay, so my very first one I have is the Self-Made palette. This is the very first ABH eyeshadow palette that I ever got. This is what started me getting into higher end eyeshadow palettes, was this one. This was $35, and I remember just thinking like, oh, okay, that's doable, I could do that. Obviously, as time has went on, the prices of the palettes have gotten more expensive, but at the time, this was the most expensive palette that I had. And you will see it here. This is, again, the Self-Made palette. Oops, dropped a brush. This one is a really nice palette. I really enjoyed it. My favorite color from the eyeshadow palette is this color called Pink Champagne. I'll swatch it here. And if you can see, it's very pretty, very lovely eyeshadow. So that's my favorite one. I think that this is a very beautiful palette. As time went on, you will see that the eyeshadow quality has gotten so much better. So this was good for the time when I got it, but the quality has gotten better. The same will go with this product here. My next eyeshadow palette that I got was the Modern Renaissance. This is what started the craze for everybody to love the ABH palettes and to start collecting them. I really think this is what started it. Now, this is one of their older palettes, and for me, hold this. I love the Modern Renaissance. It is number 10, so 11 was Self-Made. Number 10 is this Modern Renaissance. My favorite color is the shade Bon Fresco. It's kind of this dusty rose, lavender kind of color. It's harder to show up. I will say that the colors on this one, to me, were good for deep skin, but it still was lacking something. And I will say this one has gotten old and does not perform the same way. I took this a couple of years back to, maybe a year or two. I took it to Vegas and I wore it and I thought, oh, this has been performing the exact same way. So I do think it's gotten quite old. In fact, this is probably 5 years old, if not more. So I do think eventually they do kind of go bad. So maybe one day I will get a new one. But for now, that's my number 10. Again, everyone loves this palette. It's usually one of their #1 ranked ones. For me, not so much. The next one might be very surprising. Anyone who knows me knows I love purple. It is my favorite color by far. I enjoy wearing purple clothing-wise. Not that I'm wearing purple, but I enjoy wearing purple clothing-wise. I enjoy wearing purple on my eyes. But I have realized over time, there's a certain type of purple or tones of purple I like. I lean more berry with some purple, warm purples. I can do some cool tone, but this one in particular for me, oh, this is going to be the bane of my existence. All these little eyeshadow palette, all these brushes and these eyeshadows. Anyways, got to remember that. So this is not my favorite. This is absolutely beautiful. You're probably looking at me thinking I'm crazy for not loving this palette. And this is number 9 for a reason. I, for some reason, cannot seem to get a bright enough look with this. I think because the purples are somewhat muted. Like this purple here is this soul is kind of muted. There isn't actually that much purple when I think about it. A couple. But it's pretty. It's just not my absolute favorite. The shimmers are gorgeous, but pairing them with these kind of dull mattes, maybe that's what it is. Everything feels very dull. So pairing them with these kind of duller mattes doesn't, for me, make these stand out as much. I feel like my whole look kind of looks a little bit duller and muted, which I'm getting used to that. I think I am starting to move over to a little bit of a cool tone look at times, but this still isn't my favorite. So it's okay. That's why it's number 9. The next one is the Sultry palette. Now, love the packaging. Like, this packaging is just fire. So beautiful. Really love it. This is what made me get it, was really seeing this packaging, this glitter, and it doesn't come off on your hands. It's really lovely. But, okay, I'm remembering the brush. I will say about this palette, it is absolutely stunning. The shimmers are absolutely beautiful. This, is it the Cyborg shade? This Cyborg shade is beautiful. This beautiful, beautiful silver. Actually, this rose quartz is quite beautiful. So they're stunning shimmers. But again, I have the problem with them being too cool tone. These are ashy on me, so I would not be able to really wear this twig at all. I've tried. Doesn't work for me. I have begun to like a little bit of gray, depending on how if it kind of contouring my crease. So I have begun to like this, but this still isn't like my absolute favorite. This is it's called Slate. So as you can see, this is mostly going to be more, again, of a cool tone look for someone like me, my skin tone, besides this peachy color, which is okay, but you know, you don't always want that in a crease. So this is why it's number 8 for me. It's nothing I have here I think I hate, but this one in particular doesn't like make me super excited. I work with this one. I try to make myself like it as much. If it's going to be in my collection, my plan is always to use it. I don't like to have things in my collection that I don't use. So my goal will always be to use it, but I don't like jump for joy using it. What I have is the Master Palette by Mario. This was a collaboration with the makeup artist Mario. This is one that people love. They love this palette so much. This is very much a standout palette, but I will say this. When I got this palette, I don't have a thing. When I got this palette, and it is well used. Look, I've used this palette quite a bit a while ago. The problem I have with this palette was that there wasn't enough mattes that at least for me, I felt at the time, and there was a little too many shimmers. Or satin, not even shimmers, they're not even shimmers, there's like satin shades. I didn't really know how to work with it that well. I mean, I didn't really like using like satins on my creases or anything like that. But I think as time has changed right now and more people are using shimmer and satin in their crease, and it's not always a full matte look, it could be even a full shimmer look. I think I'm going to start using this again because I think I would be able to work with it better. I think during this time I felt that everyone was going very matte and talking always about mattes, that I really didn't understand how this was supposed to be used, especially with deep skin, because again, this is going to be ashy, if not anything on me. This one, you can see there's pan in this one, Isabel, because this is basically the only transition shade that it had for me. And then we had this, and then we had all these shimmers. And how many shimmers can you put on your eye? Not that many. So for me, this was not a standout palette at the time. And I think I am going to revisit it because I think I know how to use this better over time. I think the style has changed, so I think I could totally use this differently. So this is, again, the Master Palette by Mario, and this is number 7. The next one was I think a winter release and a few years back. And this is called, oh, I'm sorry, is the Prism palette. And I really love this palette. I think this is a really good one. It's number 6, so it's almost halfway there, not fully. But I really do like it. I think you can see it here. Beautiful deep jewel tone shades. So pretty. The really standout shades for me in this palette was the, let's see, was Throne. You can see there, so pretty. Osiris. Nice jewel tone colors. And one more, clean my hands. Was the next color I really like, and I have a big dent in, is Lure, which it's going to be hard to see that one on my skin tone, but it actually is a very pretty dusty purple, dusty like rose purple. It's very beautiful. So this is a very nice palette. I don't use it that much, but this is making me want to use it again. I really do like this palette. So the next palette I have here is the Riviera palette. And I've done a review on this palette. I really love this palette. This took me back to the Bahamas, and takes me back right now. No, just kidding. But it's really a good palette. I love this one. Let me show you what it looks like. I'll remind you what it looks like here. It's very bright, and I think this is why it was so well loved, because at this time I don't think, as you see all those palettes, I mean, I guess the Prism palette was pretty colorful, but it was very dark still. And this is super, you can tell, light, tropical looking. This pink is gorgeous. My hands might be too wet. Let's see. You can see how bright that pink is. The purple, actually that pink is called Bahamas. I forgot about that. Yep, totally reminds me. The purple is Cannes. The shimmers, let me get one shimmer here. Let's do this one, Mediterranean. Oh, that's beautiful. So this is definitely a fave palette. I really love this palette. I think it's very pretty. I don't use it as much as I thought, but that's just because I have a lot of palettes. So sometimes even if I love it, they get missed because I have a lot to go through. The next palette, again, reminds me of a trip, and this is the Soft Glam palette, or as lovingly called sometimes, the Soft Clam palette, if you say it wrong. But I really love this palette. I think this is a good one. I took this was the only palette, I believe this was the only palette I took to New York. I went with my family almost 2 years ago. Yeah, about in April, I think it'll be 2 years ago that we went. And this palette is awesome because it's a very beautiful neutral palette, but it's very, as the name says, soft. But you can darken things up. You have this beautiful black noir. You have this beautiful shade mulberry. The shimmers are gorgeous. They're so pretty. And it's a good everyday palette until I get to the very first one. Then you'll see why that's my everyday palette. But back in the day, this was my everyday palette because if I don't have to think about what I was going to do. I knew I could do a quick look. That's why I took it to New York, because I knew it was just going to be easy and quick look, and I wouldn't have to worry or stress about it too much about what I was going to do. So I really do think this is an awesome palette. I would recommend this, especially to neutral lovers. If you like a neutral eye, you will love this. And I think this is good for most any skin tone. I can't think of one that it wouldn't be good for. So I really do like this one a lot. Now I'm going to talk about the bad boy of ABH. This one had a lot of people talking, and most of it not good. People really did not love this palette. This is for me number 3. So you can see that I liked it, but many people did not. I will show you what it looks like. You can see it's well loved. You can see that. I've got Hit Pan on, Roxy. I don't know if there's any. I have dips in All Star and Electric. I really like this palette. Now, I will tell you, this is not for beginners. This is not for people who like, if you don't like really deep colors. And this is one that is harder to work with. It's very pigmented. I think there's, I could be wrong, but I think there was less binder in it. So it kind of can be very kind of messy to work with, muddies together if you're not careful. You can't just put any colors together. You kind of have to be very strategic about how you do it. So usually I'll start off with one, then I will deepen it up on the outer corner. I'll deepen it up, then I'll put my shimmer and so forth. I wouldn't put like 3 colors because they would muddy together. So this isn't the most easiest. It's not foolproof like the Soft Glam. It's where you can just do, you know, be quick and easy. Like, I don't use this when I'm running late. Like, this would never be a palette I would use when I'm running late. This is more of, and you have time and you want to do something colorful and creative and a little bit grungy. This is an awesome palette. But again, not everyone likes this. I don't think this would be, again, for somebody who's starting off in makeup. I wouldn't make this your first palette. I think you would be frustrated and you wouldn't see the hype of ABH if you used this. So again, this is my one of my favorites in my top 5, but it wouldn't be in everyone's top 5, I would say. So the next one, now I'm getting down to more of a newer palettes that they have. I feel like the quality of ABH really kind of went up, or keeps going up as they continue. I feel like it started off great, never was bad, started off great, but now it's amazing. And I will say, you'll see that if you have the Amrezy palette. Again, love the packaging. Again, another glitter packaging. This one's beautiful, and I will show you inside. This is a collaboration with Amrezy, and you can't really put this one back. I won't put it because I don't want to break it, but this one is absolute. This is number 2 for a reason. I absolutely love using it. The Sensa shade is gorgeous. This Yugo shade, which is a very interesting, I don't even know how to explain what color that is. It comes off on my eye like a grayish purple. It's super pretty. The color Barb, this shimmer, you want to talk about a shimmer. Let me show you this. Look at that. That's stunning. Oh, absolutely beautiful. So this is a gorgeous shade. Let's see. They also have a pressed glitter, and I think this is maybe the first of pressed glitters that they've had. And they have 2 actually. They have 2 pressed glitters. And this one is called Liddy. Look at that. Oh, stunning. And then this one in, I think this is in Gemini. Can you imagine just topping off an eye look with this? This is definitely, that's why it's number 2. It's beautiful. I think it's easy to work with. If you don't like pressed glitter, I think you'd be okay with these because they're pretty easy to work with and you just tap them on. It's very simple. I feel like they're not overly messy. So this is definitely one of my favorites. This is number 2 for a reason. Again, it's absolutely gorgeous, and I would recommend that one highly. Now that one is also one that is a little bit higher priced. I think it's, I don't want to say prices, I can't remember. I know it's a couple more dollars than the normal ones they have, but it's also bigger. I think this comes with more shades. Number 1 is my beloved Jackie Aina palette. This palette, even just look at the packaging of this palette. Beautiful faux crocodile, iridescent, holographic type of packaging. It is my favorite palette of all time when it comes to ABH. this is it. I wish this was permanent. I don't think it is. This is not permanent, but if you can still get it, you should. This is absolutely amazing. And let me show you why. This is the most deep skin girl friendly palette. It really is. This is awesome. If you go through aviation, you see there was a lot of shades there, especially transition shades. Shimmers, you're always going to be good. But when it comes to the transition shades, there was a lot of ashy tone things in there where you know, being a deep skin, having deep skin myself, there's no way that I could use some of these shadows. So even out of this expensive price tag on these eyeshadow palettes, I can't use every single transition shade. They weren't meant for me. And it was obvious because of the way they are on the eye. They're just very somewhat ashy, don't show up at all. There's not one that doesn't show up here. They are beautifully rich in pigment and color. The shimmers are just stunning. Let me show you a few of them. What I have in my eyes today, let me show you. I have Dualas. That's how she said it, Dualas. I got that. Oh, so pretty. Make sure my hands are clean enough. This is Sponsored, which is this beautiful like blue, green, brown. We have this one in, I really like this one, is Shookington. They all have Jackie's touch on it. If you know Jackie, then you know this is her. This palette was definitely made from her. You can tell that she definitely had collabed with them with this. And then let's see, one more. Let me give you what you want. It's gonna have to be this, what is it called? Zam. I'm gonna put it down here. And look at that. This is my workhorse. This is the one I'm going to use when I have 5 minutes to get out the door. When I do not have time to do something, like I'm going to use this palette. This is the palette I'm going to use. I absolutely love this palette. I think it's also good, and I've seen, and I really have seen this, where many YouTubers have ranked the palettes from ABH, and almost every single time, no matter what skin tone, and this is the key, no matter what skin tone they were ranking this up there. If not number one, it was number two. So this is universal. And that was what I was happy about. This is a very universal palette. It does not matter what skin tone. Now, I have noticed those who have light skin tones would say that they had to be, you know, a little bit more delicate with some of the colors. They, you know, went in with a lighter hand because they were more pigmented, but it didn't stop them from using it. They were able to use these palettes. And again, this is like usually ranked high up there, all the palette rankings I've seen. And this is where I think it should be, at least in my collection, this is where it is. It is definitely one of my favorite palettes, probably of the whole collection I have. It is definitely up there, probably top 5. The only thing I would give a disclaimer on is that it doesn't have, for me, a light enough highlight under the brow shade. So I will dip into another palette and maybe just get that part. That's the only thing, because this one has is light, but it has shimmer. This is good. This is what I have in my inner corner. Soleil. I have that in my inner corner here, which is beautiful for that. But I don't want that shimmeriness all up on under my brow. So that's probably the only thing I would say that I need extra from that. But that's so easy to do. I mean, almost every other palette I have has a cream colored highlight shade. So for me, this again is my number one. When I travel, I went to Australia in November, and this palette went with me because I knew that, in fact, I think this is the one I used. I believe this is the one I used on, it is the one I used on the plane. So when I was landing, before I landed, I did my makeup, and this is the palette that I used because I knew I could do a fast, quick, simple eye look and still look presentable, not just presentable, look good. You know, that's the point. I just look presentable to look good. And so, yeah, I really do love this palette. And okay, I hope you enjoyed this ranking. I plan to do this with my ColourPop eyeshadows, as well as, what else do I have? A lot of, I don't know what else I have. I might have a few other things, but those are the two things that I have the most of. I have the ColourPop as well as ABH. Those are usually the only things that I pretty much collect, even through these, I didn't collect, I don't have all of them. I think I'm missing the Alyssa Edwards one. That's probably the only one I'm missing out of this. And that's just because it came too close to the Riviera palette, so it looked a little too similar to me, and I don't need that many brights. But anyways, I think this has been an awesome, I really enjoyed doing this ranking video. It's amazing how your face can light up talking about your favorite things. And so I really hope you enjoyed it, as well as we are at home and making sure that we're staying safe, washing our hands, and making sure that we are showing love to all that are dealing with this very trying time. So again, I hope you guys have a nice day, and I will talk to you later, Glam Squad. Bye.